So the season starts off with Marinette still in a relationship with Luca, even after she chased after Adrian in New York to tell him she loved him. What a great start to a relationship. Thankfully, Luca, realising his worth, decides to keep dating her despite knowing she's still in love with Adrian. Alright, it's not like you asked everyone in the city and they told you all she was still in love with Adrian. Although if you asked Adrian what her secret was, he'd probably tell you she has constipation.
You're a little confused, but he got the spirit.
They finally break up and then it's Adrian's turn. He leaves Kagami on for a whole episode, and because she's also a lovely person, she then decides to shove him against a wall. We love to see physical abuse in a TV show for 8-year-olds. Up next we have Gang of Secrets, and the gang made up of Alia, Alex, Rose, Julika and Milen all get akumatized because Marinette wouldn't let them play with her doll's house, which is completely understandable. If I had been Alia in that moment, I would have delivered a swift roundhouse kick to Marinette's face.
Electric chair.
Everything is fine and dandy by the end of the episode, except it's not, because Marinette breaks down completely and tells Alia she is Ladybug, and I 100% screamed at this. The first time I watched it, my entire family came running, I told them what happened, and then they all swiftly left. I may be the family disappointment, but I'm also the most famous family member, so they can't say anything about it to me. Like, my mum keeps asking, like, hey, when are you gonna get a real job? Like, this is a real job, mum. How is teaching a load of kids to call the antagonist of a kids' TV show daddy not a real job? We then see Mr. Ramier at the pool, and after Adrian and Marinette nearly drown Edgar, he gives him CPR because reasons. Also, for some reason, Marinette wants Adrian and Kagami to get back together even though she likes Adrian. What is wrong with her? But thankfully we end with an umbrella scene and Kagami becomes knockoff Master Fu. Up next we have Psycho Medium, which sees the debut of Lady Burrito, and Cat Noir finally saves the day with a metric ton of nail polish. Good job. Then we get Furious Fu. Master Fu comes back to Paris for the sole reason of having a kickabout with Ladybug, Cat Noir and Suhan, who turns out to be the most useless character right after Sabrina. We then get introduced to a slightly less useless character in the form of Chloe's half-sister, because apparently at least 2 men found Audrey Bourgeois that tolerable. Zoe is everything her sister isn't, and her arrival signals the end of any possibility for Chloe's redemption this season. We love to see it. Chloe follows it up by becoming the queen of all bananas and gets a pretty sick banana-mobile. I bloody love that thing. And Ladybug gets her first vehicle lucky charm of many to come this season. Up next we have the long-awaited Daddy Agrest episode. Marinette dresses up as Marino to weirdly not stalk Adrian, but to stalk Chloe. What a twist! And an even bigger twist is that Felix finds out Shadow Daddy is actually his uncle through absolutely zero effort on his part. Wow. Incredible.
Constantly raising the bar for us all.
We then have Mega Leech, which sees the debut of Milen as Polymouse. It also sees the debut of my never-ending trauma after having to see the inside of Nino's ears. However, that gets cured in the episode afterwards when Julika is busy getting akumatized into Reflector for I don't know how many times she's been akumatized into Reflector at this point, I don't know. And Rose is trying to save it as Pigella. Adrian is looking at Marinette like this in the boiler room. And let me tell you now, besties, if on your wedding day your husband-to-be does not turn around and look at you like this as you walk down the aisle, then you turn around and you run because he is not the one.
Stop it. Get some help.
Crocodile follows, and it's Julika and Luca's birthday. Turns out they're twins. Yay! Even though they weren't before. Because she's crazy, Marinette tries to get Julika to uninvite her own brother from his own birthday party. Their parents get akumatized and Cat Noir gets to pretend he has friends this season for a split second. In the next episode, Natalie finally decides to use her brain and realises that all the no Miraculous holders know Adrian. What a coinky dink! You'd think Adrian would also realise something was weird about that too, but no. They use him to lure everyone to an event, but Shadow Daddy needs to go to the bathroom, and while he's occupied, Adrian and Marinette get trapped in an elevator and barely talk to each other. It was wonderful. Best scene. Yay! Alia eventually comes to break them out of there and just leaves Adrian abandoned on the rooftop and never questions how he manages to get down. Ladybug, as per, saves the day, finally noticing that Nino is actually a sentient monster, and then decides to give Alia her Miraculous permanently. which she then immediately regrets an episode later in Senti Bubbler, but it's okay because Shadow Daddy got his starbies, a spider got trapped in a bubble, and Cat Noir takes the executive decision to destroy a chimney because Alia said he wasn't getting invited to her birthday party. Sad times.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
And the sad times continue in Glaciator 2. After telling everyone they'd be a cute couple, Ladybug puts Cat Noir in the trash, as you do, and in revenge he decides to pretend to date Marinette. The logic. Not all is lost though, because they get to drive a Lamborghini.
Pick a Lamborghini!
Then Haxan makes things even worse for Adrian because Marinette couldn't go to the bathroom and transform into Ladybug and send him a cheeky quick text to let him know she was going on her holidays. As a result, Cat Noir almost kills Alia, who for some reason manages to beat him in the fight, which is very odd considering he's had more experience as a superhero and he does fencing, so you'd think he'd win. But no, and another odd detail is that when they recharge, they have a whole last conversation and don't recognise the other person's voice. Ladybug returns and tells him he is irreplaceable, which is a bold-faced lie because she's been replacing him since the end of episode 3 and we're on 16 now. Things go from bad to worse in Rocketeer. First bad thing is that Nino, the absolute genius, thinks Alia is in love with Cat Noir, and then he goes on to tell Adrian that he is Carapace and Alia is Rena Rouge, and that Ladybug is aware that they both know. Adrian is pretty shocked and pretty upset because it means Ladybug is a huge hypocrite, but we all already knew that already. Adrian, as always, last to find out everything in this show. Poor boy probably doesn't even know his own shoe size. In Wishmaker, they go to a careers fair because why not? And Alec tries to roast the ice cream man. He ends up getting akumatized, and Luca also ends up finding out the identities of Ladybug and Cat Noir. Luca may have the power of second chance, but now he knows he'll never get one with Marinette. This amazing episode is followed up with Simple Man. Yay. Marinette's grandpa gets akumatized because he's a bad babysitter, but can you blame him if he has to look after Chris? Meanwhile, the writers are busy throwing all of Marinette's character development from the season out the window so she can go and stalk Adrian, and we happen across this man with the most luscious eyelashes ever seen on camera before. Bestie, you look stunning. Keep doing what you're doing because it's working. You look wonderful. I love you. Cheelin is next, and I think the whole fandom can collectively agree that the bus inspector is the worst character ever. Like, he's even more horrible than Daddy Agreste. Oh my god, he's a nasty piece of work. However, on the flip side, Sabine is an absolute queen, and we all love getting to see Cat Noir defend his future mother-in-law. In Dearest Family, we get the debut of the Mega Akuma, which renders the charms pointless, which makes sense as the show would suck without Akumas, but surely they were just a waste of time in the first place? I don't know. Tiki also goes feral over a pie, and since I am from the north of England, I can relate. I love a good pie, me. And Cat Noir also gets to be king for the day. And then we have Ephemeral. In a nutshell, Suhan says, "Oi, I need to know who Cat Noir is." So Marinette goes to find out, and we all immediately regretted her doing that when Adrian meows at Miss Bustier. Marinette has an existential crisis trying to work out if she still likes him, but decides she does, and they get together, which, wouldn't you know it, triggers the end of the world. Oh, and Shadow Cat Daddy throws Marinette across the cinema and probably broke at least one of her bones, but Thomas Astruc said they have child psychologists check the episodes. I don't think they checked this one. However, the whole episode is rendered pointless because they rewind time, no one remembers a thing, and they solve the problem going on with Sass's second chance with a solution that makes no sense whatsoever. Suhan reappears and he's like, "Did you do it?" And Ladybug is like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, fair enough. Pound it." Like, his job, like, he's meant to be like the manager of the Guardians, the guardian of the Guardians. What is the point of him demanding Ladybug do something if she can just say no and you're fine with it? Like, his character's pointless. Honestly though, this whole episode was pointless and just seemed to be the bad first draft of Cat Blanc because they're basically the same episode except one is bad. I understand that Marinette and Adrian can't be together until Shadow Daddy gets defeated. I get that, but Thomas, you know, you could have just tweeted that. There was no need for you to dedicate the 100th episode of the show to that. You didn't need to do that. In Kuro Neko, Adrian has finally had enough and rescinds his Miraculous, and the show teaches us an important lesson in that you should totally change yourself in order to get the person you love to like you. But even more importantly, we learn that Natalie is becoming the Terminator, Adrian does indeed have pyjamas, and Plag also likes to roleplay as Ladybug. Seems a bit sus to me. We then have Penalty, the super fun team episode everyone was waiting for.
What team? Wow, yeah.
Except it was basically just pure chaos, but who cares when Mark was in it, he is best boy. Oh, and Chloe and Lila decide to form some sort of partnership just because they really hate Marinette.
Do you want to form an alliance with me?
Absolutely, I do.
Good, excellent.
Then we had Risk, and oh boy, I do not think I will ever forget the day Risk aired for the rest of my life. It was a wild ride, and that's putting it mildly because the rest of the day was very spicy in comparison. So in Risk, after getting an up-close shot of Daddy Agrest's teeth, he akumatizes a child who thinks he's a frog, who then infects everyone with a tattoo that makes them drown themselves in the Seine. Bit of an oddly specific Akuma, I know, but they make it work. At the same time, Daddy Agrest decides to send Adrian and Lila all around the world together in the name of perfume, and Felix is like, wait, I wanna go, so he pretends to be his cousin. And he also gets to see his auntie chilling in her fridge down in the murder basement, which must have been super duper fun for him. Oh, and Adrian and Marinette get to hold hands. That was a highlight of the episode for me, besties. And then finally, of course, we have Strike Back. Oh boy. So after Rena Furtive is revealed, she finally notices the froggy mark on everyone's neck. Like, I know everyone in the show is actually legally blind, but I swear to God you'd have seen the back of someone's neck in the city before this point, before this. Or not, I guess. So Ladybug is like, well, I need someone who isn't infected, and she skips off to kidnap Adrian from a moving train, and he helps her save the day. Wow, it was wonderful and wholesome. I couldn't be happier. Except that's not what happened at all, because Adrian wasn't Adrian, Adrian was Felix, and Marinette gives him the dog Miraculous, which was a bad decision, because firstly he takes her yo-yo to Shadow Daddy, and secondly, even worse than that, Marinette and Felix recreate the Heroes Day sewers scene, and I know what you're thinking, Hayes, you're overreacting. Shadow Daddy having the Miraculous is worse. No, it's not, right? This is a kid show. Ladybug is gonna win. She'll get them back. It's gonna be difficult, but she can do it. Our girl has got this. But I will never emotionally recover from the trauma of having to see them recreate my favourite scene in the entire show with Felix. I'm sorry. It's horrific, that's what it is. It's horrific. Thankfully, Cat Noir, despite being ignored all season, as well as being thrown in the garbage, is still there for Ladybug. We do not deserve Adrian Agrest. He is far too pure for this world, which is probably why it makes sense that he is a sentient monster and not a human. And that, besties, is everything that happened in season 4 of Miraculous Ladybug. Bye!
Bye!